Alright, so we're going to talk about this thing called declensions. But first, what I really want you to do is sort of look at this spread of words here. There's a lot of words, and some of them have something in common, some of them don't. But when they're kind of all mixed together like this, it's really hard to kind of see how you might organize these. So luckily, a long time ago, other people have bothered to do the organizing. So I'm just going to move a few words over here. And I'm going to move some words over here. And then I'm going to move these words over here. And this is a good spread of all of the nouns that you've been having in the last few chapters or stages. So if you look at this, hopefully you're noticing what I want you to notice, which is in this first group, all of them end in the letter A. They all have that in common. It's a similar vein that we'll talk about in a second. If you look at the second group, hopefully you've noticed that all of them end in US. And then when we look at the third group, well, there's not really any easy pattern to look at. They're sort of a mess. Different endings, 4 different patterns, that sort of thing. So we're going to talk about them more in a couple of minutes. So when you look at these groups of words, what you're basically doing is seeing the way that people for generations have looked at nouns and gone, man, how can we make these make more sense and how can we group them together? So the way that they have grouped these together is the ones that are ending in A are going together, the US ones are going together, and these extra ones, which we'll talk about again more in a second, are going together. These groups of nouns, this idea of having groups of nouns, are called declensions. Declensions really are just groups of nouns. They're groups of nouns that follow the same pattern. Notice the same pattern. We've got this first group of nouns known as the first declension. Amazing, I know. And they all have A at the end. Then we have the second group of nouns, and they all end in US. And so it's kind of like they all bought the same t-shirt. So they're going together, and you can see they're all the same. Then you have this third groups of nouns, and they didn't really bother to buy the same t-shirt. They aren't very much the same at all. So actually, what happens with them is their similarity is a little more hidden. It's not to the obvious outside form there. It's like they didn't wear the same t-shirt, but they all have the same belt buckle. They all have the same endings when you move into other stuff. For example, every single one of these words, when they're accusative in the direct object form, are going to be ending in EM for the third declension. That's the belt buckle there. It's a little more hidden, not as obvious. Whereas the first declension is A for the subject nominative form, AM for the accusative direct object form. Second declension, US for the subject nominative form, UM for the direct object accusative form. So they are kind of a little more regimented, they're a little more obvious, but all 3 of these declensions really have these certain things in common, and that's why they've been grouped together. The groups of nouns with similar patterns. And that's basically it for declensions. So hopefully you've got it.